Hello, folks of the internets. Continuing to try new things and tweaks to see what feels better with these news bits. So this go around aiming to be more like, I guess, Rayman than just a talking head like Zordon. Maybe could go for some smoke behind me like the wizard from Wizard of Oz. So I got 5 bits of news relating to Wade's World for this go round. First up is episode 1 of Kitty Cat Cable for the Adobe Air channel. Second, MMN Lives Again. Third, MMN Remix Alpha Lives Again. Fourth is a quick take on Adobe Air since it'll be needed to play said games. And lastly, a World of Warcraft rant about game design. Should be chapters in the video for anyone not interested in hearing all sections. So first, harkening back to what I mentioned last news video about wanting to do something with the 20 years experience in cable customer service, Kitty Cat Cable was up on the other channel. A satirical take on the agony of big business, employees, and customers. If any of you out there are in customer service jobs or know someone who is, this one's for you. So go check it out and share it with fellow customer service workers to get some giggles. Next up is MMN is live again on my website in its Adobe Air incarnation. From the front page of Agamair.com, hit the Maelstorm link and that'll take you to where I'm going to squirrel away all the fan fiction stuff. You'll see the respective 2 games there and can click on the titles on the left for the download. For MMN, it'll give you a zip containing MMN intro, and a little text document with user agreement stuff. I felt compelled to include that last part since unlike the Flash browser plugin, this will be much more like traditional software and that makes it the Wild West for me. I've ran them on my 2 Windows 10 computers without issue after downloading it and had a buddy try it on their Windows 10 computer and it worked. So I'm sure at least under those circumstances it should run as intended. If you have a different operating system, as long as it's compatible with Adobe Air, in theory it should also run, but I can't speak to that unfortunately. While I aimed to try and keep them as rusty and goofy as the originals from 2003-ish, there was a number of tweaks though, as mentioned before. The speed of them should be much more tame, as well as I added a FPS option to the equivalent of a title screen in them. The sound effects changed to be more in line with normal ones to hopefully not melt anyone's eardrums. The music that may cause our YouTube overlord to become enraged has been swapped. There is a link to the credits from the title screen if anyone is looking for what games I pulled music from, since the old info pages are dead and outdated with these versions. It should also launch full screen, which was something people requested a bunch back in the day. If you hit escape, it'll take you out of full screen and stay at the teeny tiny 2003 size. If you want it to go back to full screen, you'll need to relaunch it. If you want to come out of full screen to do something else, hit the Windows key or equivalent, then click back on it on the taskbar when you're done whatever you needed to do. If anyone does brave them, I'd love to see some comments below. Third on the news agenda is MMN Remixes Alpha is live once more. Again, you can find it on the Maelstorm section on my site. This one zip file will just contain the MMN Remix Alpha and the user agreement text. I tossed and turned over doing this since history has shown there is way too many people on the internet that don't even remotely grasp the concept of what an alpha or beta is. They just blissfully and purely judge anything they can get their hands on as the finished product. Why those humans do that is beyond me, but it is a blight upon the land for small-timers like myself and AAA developers alike. And that's before pirates yoinking the alpha to spread clickbait, so that's another headache to brace myself for. So once MMN Remixes Alpha is up and running, to reiterate, it's alpha. So there's going to be things showing that either don't work or aren't accessible, like you may see Slash Woman in the customized controller there, but they ain't going to work and that's the correct behavior for the alpha. As of the Shaman Man stage video I put up prior, that brings the first 2 rows of stages as being accessible and playable. For characters Mega Man, Proto Man, and Bass should be selectable. Then you got the intro stage, the 8 Robot Master stages, and the basics of Dr. Light stage you can play around in. If you pick any of the other stages, while it'll load, you can't do anything beyond the initial sections I made to work on gimmicks. You can also interact with most things in Dr. Light's lab. If you earn levels, you can pick some talents, play with the stereo, play in the danger room, look at the virus screen, or teleport back to the map. Now, if you've watched me playing the stages and bosses as I rolled them out, you should already know they are quite brutal. However, while I usually do the preview videos as raw, pristine Mega Man, you do have some other things at your disposal that I usually don't use in the vids. From the pause screen, you can pick a helper pet to assist in dealing damage. You can also spend bolts you've earned and use life or energy tanks. If you've managed to build up a few levels or get specials, using them can also help. Lastly, if you're just totally getting wasted, you can also lower the game speed or try a lower difficulty. With the completed game having 20 Robot Masters and stages, inevitably some are going to be harder than others. So most people will probably need to find out which are the easiest for them and doing those first to level up to tackle the harder ones. Other bits for this is it will launch full screen. You can hit escape to exit full screen, but you'll need to relaunch the game if you want to get it back. As an alpha, I'd love to hear feedback, impressions, and how it runs. I can't promise I'll act on every suggestion, but I do love seeing other folks' takes and thoughts to take into consideration. Next item on the agenda is a very quick rundown on Adobe Air. To keep it ultra brief, since Adobe is hating on their product, they seem to have another company picking up support for ActionScript and running with it. I present to you Harmon, the new keeper of the Macromedia Flash legacy. In short, you'll need the software to be able to run Air files to, well, run Air files. So picking that up real quick, and then not just my dinky fanfiction games, but any software package as Air can be installed. I'll plug the link in the description, of course. Once you have it installed, as well as the games installed, then they should show up on desktop or programs list like other software. Same should go for uninstalling them. Though do keep in mind, since I'm a small timer on the wide world of the internet, scanning software is probably going to be like, who this clown? Moving on to the last agenda item, a World of Warcraft and game design rant. For those of you out there that may play the game and use YouTube, Twitch, or other media sources, I'm sure you've probably seen other talking heads on the internet going on about the state of Warcraft and wanted to toss my 2 cents in the bucket. I've played on and off since vanilla with an active sub probably 10 months out of the year since launch, like 50 ults from various levels, races, factions. From when I was much more active, melting the faces of unholy Death Knights and Hunters screaming how they're better than blood as I murdered them in Cataclysm, to the ultra chill, uber casual I am now. I mean, like in Shadowlands, I haven't even stepped foot into arena or even a dungeon since I really am ultra casual these days. I just like pressing my murder button, trying to figure out neat macros, and seeing various tunes butts in transmog as I collect things. You know, the simple life that keeps me from dropping $60 a month on a new game by just shelling out a $15 sub instead. But like, holy hell, man. The way they designed the game nowadays is like a AAA game with box price monthly sub, but they still lean into a free-to-play cash shop model on top of all that. The increasingly ridiculous and absurd grinds combined with that is just extra salt in the wound. So the most recent patch finally launched, and like a good lemming, I'm logging in to do my chores. After listening to the talking heads on the internet like Bellular, Asmongold, Preach, and many more, it's not just me seeing something amiss with the current design, and it just got me to thinking. Like, why is there quadruple time gating? You have to grind Anima, grind Renown, grind Souls, and then grind Covenant Sanctum upgrades. But wait, you want the other 3 Covenant's pets and toys because you're a collector? Well, do it all over again, and yet again, at a pace of a snail with a limp. I could sort of see the reason for establishing different order halls in Legion, but having 4 separate player covenants in their current form has got to be a top tier facepalm since everyone is working together hand in hand this expansion. This just gets compounded by the content drop before 9.1, which could have been alleviated if people could do the stuff for all covenants instead of just one. Not to mention the story implications. Like, there is no reason the Anima Conductor or Transportation Network should exist in the way they do, but to artificially bloat playtime to keep shareholders happy. Then thinking back to all the systems they add and throw away next expansion, but still has to get maintained in the code, like the Farm in Pandaria, Garrison and Warlords, Order Halls and Legion, Azerite Armor and BFA, now Covenant Power, Sanctums, Domination Gems, more mission tables, and many other systems layered in this thing that all need to be maintained. I'm no AAA bajillion-dollar game company, but even I learned to start cutting features in MMN Remix once they started getting a bit too ambitious and causing unnecessary headaches. All I ever really needed was just a talent system, particularly the old-style one, trinkets and meta gems. Then when they do add neat things, it never ever seems to be good until the end of the expansion it's launched in. Like Torghast is loads of fun, but unrewarding and a waste of time to bother with. It would have been the ultimate thing for a super casual like myself to goof off in, but they didn't add any point to do it beyond getting Ash for legendaries. Literally made a whole new system, then shot themselves in the foot by half-assed implementation. Then with the 9.1 revamp, I think the concept of scoring is better than a gear score check to make sure you're ready for higher difficulty. But why the hell do they feel that they needed to add yet another mechanic in the form of the new Empower bar system on top of the existing one? Then on top of that, they add yet another system for tower knowledge because there needs to be yet another grind on top of the Ash and Cinders one. Then the new quests that are rigged to be multi-stage scenarios. Trying the Ardenweald Maw invasion, looking across that area and only seeing one of the critters to collect. Swarms of baddies you know are going to aggro you, so by the time you get all the critters, you probably would have killed 50 baddies. Maybe even 100 or more baddies if another player comes around to compete for critters with. Was just like, screw that, and dropped it in Hearth. Like, just literally preying on their fan base by dragging things out unnecessarily and launching unfinished products. Absolutely no respect for players' time, and that's not even going into the travesty anyone playing an alt gets put through. Alrighty, that's all the bits I have for this go-round. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Leave me a comment with your thoughts on any section of it, and of course with how the games perform if you take a swing at them. If you enjoyed this video and want to help me out, of course do the usual, like and subscribe to appease our YouTube overlord. Sharing with like-minded folks helps too. Until we meet again, take care and be safe.